Well, welcome everybody to Topical Tuesday. For today, February 8th, we are welcoming our friends from Thorndike Press today. We're going to be talking all things large print books. Just make sure your microphone is muted if you are not speaking. And using the Q&A feature really helps us keep track of those questions, so please go ahead and use that. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to our friends from Thorndike Press.
Hi, everyone. Is everyone able to hear me?
We're good, Susan.
Perfect. So I think several of you have probably met Sabine in the past. She is my wonderful, phenomenal, perfect, can't say enough good things about her manager. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Susan Elliott, and I will be your Youth Large Print main contact moving forward. A little bit about myself. I have a background in education and experience with kiddos in the field. I have a degree in education, and I've been with our company for several years. I am recently new to Thorndike, and it has absolutely reinvigorated my love for reading and literacy and learning. This is going to be a little bit of a different kind of meeting. We'll answer your questions. I'll give you some info about large print, but I wanted to share with you first kind of my story and why I'm here and what led me here. So as a kiddo, I was a struggling reader. I was in third grade and struggled with fluency. I struggled with comprehension. And I had wonderful educators who made sure I had no idea until I was older and in the field and realized that I really, really struggled. I eventually ended up repeating the third grade due to my fluency and my comprehension. In order to learn content, as you move forward and progress through your grades, you have to understand what you're reading. So fortunately for me, I had educators that worked with me with Youth Large Print that helped me find titles that I was interested in, and has actually led to the entire reason that I am an avid reader today, that I have authors that I follow, and that I'm so passionate about large print in general. As much as I hate to say it, I was a statistic. I was part of those almost 50% of students that were absolutely terrified to pick up a book that had a bunch of words on a page. I was that kid that counted paragraphs to see which one was going to be mine. I read and reread what I was supposed to read. So when they got to me, I could feel like I could read at the level of my peers. I am part of those kiddos that it's over 50% that find large print less daunting. It kept me engaged. It allowed me to access materials that were interesting for me for my grade level without having to read stuff that was several grade levels behind me, especially once they got my Lexile up where it needed to be. It's hard when you have kids that have high interest, but their reading level is not where their interests are. So that was something that I definitely benefited from. That being said, obviously, I've had a lot of experience with large print from the time that I was a kid until now. It's not ever really left my life. I would like to hear from you all what your experience with large print is. Does anyone want to share? Have you used large print in your classroom?
If you have, you could go ahead and either unmute or share in the chat box.
So it's ironic that this is today's training because just yesterday I got my shipment of my first Thorndike large print books. And I think there were 25 or 30 of them, and the kids were intrigued today. So it was really fun to see the reaction. I love the presentation. I'm excited to get them out there. So thank you so much.
Yay! How exciting is that? It's always fun to open new books. I feel like that was one of my favorite things as an educator. When I had new titles come in, there's just something special about fresh book smell and unboxings. It was like Christmas, right? Yes, unboxing is the best. Absolutely. Has anyone had books in their classroom that are large print that students have had some time to have their hands on? Have you had feedback from the students? Nope. So some of us are very new to it. Some of us have some large print.
So we have quite a few that piloted a project, but they are not with us today. So these are more newbies with the large print.
Perfect. Well, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. We love to hear feedback too. Carolyn, once those students have time to circulate those books a little bit, I'd like to hear what their thoughts are and how frequently those titles are used and which titles are the most loved, for sure. For sure. Does anyone have any questions out the gate right now as far as large print is concerned?
I do. So with the large print, are those good for students that, do you think students that are attracted to graphic novels because they're high interest, low level would be interested in the large print? Because I've been trying to bridge between graphic novel then to the regular book. Like, for example, the I Survive series comes in both. So if I get a kid to read a graphic novel, they feel comfortable with that. And then I try to hand them like the book. Does large print help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have noticed both as a student and as an adult that a child is more likely to pick up a title if they open it up and it doesn't appear scary to them. So I think one of the biggest things for me when I was a child and for the kids that I worked with was not just necessarily visually impaired or any physical impairments. It was this book, this page, 100 or more words. Oh my goodness, what do I do? And it almost seems like a task that needs to be completed, right? Getting to the end of the chapter is more work than it is fun. But with the large print titles and fewer words on the page, kids don't need like the bookmark that they use to follow their lines. It's easier to follow along where their place is. They don't need to put a sheet of paper there. And eventually, because it's easier and they're spending less time focusing on where's my place, how many words are left on this page, how many pages are left in this chapter, eventually the chapters tend to bleed together and kids get into the book because they like the material in the book. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
We just had a question in the chat about how do we deal with kids who think that large print books are for babies, even though books might be at the right level.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do at Thorndike is if you take our titles that are in large print and you place them next to the title that's traditional print, then you don't see a difference. The only way you're going to notice a difference in the titles is if you actually open them up and see the different size in the print. And the goal of that is to make sure that kids are choosing a title based on maybe author, cover, what the story is actually about, rather than what the print itself looks like. Let me know if that didn't answer your question.
We're good. And I love that Amy just shared. She's at high school, and she said that her students in their reading classes that are reading below grade level gravitate towards the large print. And if she has it in small and large, they choose the large.
That's good to hear. That's definitely good to hear.
We have one other question. Does the large print make the book significantly longer or thicker?
No. So if you have them side by side and you turn them up, instead of just looking at the covers like this, you lay them side by side horizontally, there's very little difference in the thickness of the titles.
That's really good.
And they're not labeled as large print. So when a student goes to pick up a book, they're not going to see it on the cover, on the back. There's no way to tell that it's large print. So when you have them in your library, whether you have a separate place for your large print titles or you have them intershelved, students shouldn't be able to notice a difference.
Susan, I don't know if you were still talking. I went and grabbed it. Someone asked about, like, does it make them thicker? Does it make them bigger? Does it make them look different? I went and grabbed for whoever asked. Oh, I see Caroline's got them. Yeah. So are those both large print, Caroline?
No, so it's hard with my background, I guess, to be right in front of me. So the white one is the large print, and the blue one here is the regular one. And you can see that the large print is just a tad taller. That's it. They're both Wings of Fire, series.
Yeah. So, and I was going to show you. Thanks for pulling those out and showing, because I went and grabbed this Jason Reynolds book. So the sticker is mine. So don't pay attention. That's just something I had from when I was actually doing in-person traveling, and I could put a sticker on something and people could see it. But this is large print. This is regular print. This is Jason Reynolds' book. So the outside looks the same. We use the same covers. So when I do them side by side, this one here is large print. This one here is regular print. As Caroline said, that our trim size were consistent across the board. So they are a hair taller, but on the shelves, nobody would know the difference. The only difference, as Susan's been talking about, is the size. So that's what the large print would look like versus this is a regular print. So you could see there's a significant difference, but I just thought I'd go grab the book so that we actually could show them too. So sorry to interrupt, Susan. I just thought that might help so they could see it.
No, I think that's perfect. It's good to see it side by side like that, and how exciting that one of the people in your district has one that they were able to show. That's wonderful. I also like the emphasis on that students are choosing large print if they have the option. We did do a study nationwide, and it was over 50%. Over 50% of students said that they would prefer to pick up a large print title rather than a traditional print title. So it's good to hear that that's consistent even in your district.
We had a question about how people are shelving them. And one of our librarians does have a large print sticker on it because her kids like to look for that sticker. So it helps them identify which ones are the large print. So
yes.
They're actively seeking them out.
Yes. So when it comes to shelving, it's really up to you in your individual library, whatever your preference is. There are people that put their youth large print titles in a completely different section. There are individuals that intershelf them and put them right along with their traditional print titles. We have librarians in other states that have programs where the titles are actually throughout the school, so they're accessible anywhere, even in the hallways. It really just depends on your individual school and what you think is going to work best for your students. No one's going to know that better than you. You're with them regularly.
So we had a quick question. Does the large print refer to a specific font size?
It's 16. Yep. The large print is 16.
16. And then it also has the more white space, correct?
Yes, to make it easier to read. So that's part of that, easier to follow along while you're reading, so you can focus on the story and being engaged in what you're reading rather than focusing on where you're at or if you're going to be the next one called to read.
Any other questions before Susan and Sabine will move on?
I can add to Lisa to the question or the question about font size and such. As Susan said, it's 16 point. And I know sometimes I'll get asked, like, is it good for students, say, that are dyslexic? And while it's not a dyslexic font specifically, we've had a fair amount of educators and students share with us that it's been helpful to them. It's easier for them to read. And it's this font style we use too. We use a serif font. So if you open up a large print book, you'll look at some of the letters like T's, for example, and they have those little anchors on them. Those kind of anchors anchor the words and letters to the page, so they're not floating as much. So whether they're struggling, they're reluctant, or they might be diagnosed or non-diagnosed as with dyslexia, it's definitely supporting all different types of readers, along with really even our avid voracious readers are preferring it. I know that Deb at the high school, she had worked with us on the pilot, and she had shared with us how so many of her students really liked it. And she had one teacher actually say that they're not seeing it as a crutch that would be used for weaker readers. So I know somebody had asked in the chat about how do we keep them from looking at this as a baby book, or somehow they will feel different because they have large print. they don't feel any different, as Susan had mentioned. And Debbie's back at Palm Beach Gardens. It was, I think, Honey Smith, maybe. She was a teacher there, but she said that her kids aren't seeing that as a crutch that she thought herself the students would themselves see it as.
How I kind of view it is I have titles and authors that I love. Most people have comfort food and they have comfort films. I have comfort books. And these are titles I've read so many times now that I can speed read them. Picking up a large print title is like you've read it before. You can move through it at a much quicker pace than you normally would because it's just easier to read. I saw someone asked about a fact sheet. I did see that pop up in the chat. We can do a follow-up email where we send you information for what we discussed today. Some of the data points that I shared about statistics and where kiddos fall. We'll recap our conversation and I'll send that sheet to you as well, because that'll be helpful when applying for grants, which I know we wanted to discuss as well.
Perfect. And I'll go ahead and forward that out when I get it.
Any other questions? If not, let's go ahead and let's move on to the section. I know that one of the things Lisa had mentioned was that she wanted us to learn about the value of youth large print. And the wonderful thing is Sabine and I wouldn't be here if you didn't already see value in it, which is absolutely wonderful. Part of that value and being able to bring it into your classroom is what I kind of wanted to talk about next. So adding things to your library, growing what you already have. I'd like to hear from the librarians that have brought titles in or that are looking at bringing titles in, how you plan to do that, what you're looking at to do that. Would anyone like to share? I know Caroline just got her title, so she'll probably spend some time with students in circulation and getting feedback, and I'm sure she'll be in contact when she wants more titles added to her collection, especially once she figures out where the high interest titles are. So we can better select titles that fit the needs of her students that she knows there's already engagement for.
Also, just to kind of throw out there, if any of you do have other questions about like how to develop the collection or how to curate it, we did do the pilot with a few of the schools already in the school district. So you have librarians out there that have been picking up and adding large print to their collections on a regular basis and have already had them in front of their students and collaborated with teachers. So there's Debbie from Palm Beach Gardens. And I think I might have said that wrong before, but it's Debbie from Palm Beach Gardens, Lisa from Independence Middle School. She participated, and then Shannon Culp from Timber Trace, and then SD Spady, Debbie Tanner. So if any of you do have further questions about like how to develop the collection or ideas on how to get the kids engaged, they're great librarians to reach out to.
Absolutely. They'd be happy to share their experiences with you.
Yeah. And their diverse experience, they did I shouldn't say experiences. Experiences were all similar, which were all very positive, which is great to hear and see. But the way that they integrated large print into their collection and their schools was varied across the board. Some were really more about diving in deep and collaborating with their teachers and putting them in the classrooms and working with the students in that way. And some just simply added it to their collection and did some just simple awareness and talked about it during book talks or back when we first did this, we did a Topical Tuesday. The kids couldn't put their hands on the books because we just didn't know how this, how the virus was spreading. So she would put them so they were face out or face back. So the difference with our large print books, which is nice, is the back of our books actually have a brief summary about what the book is about. So she would put them out so the kids could read what they were about, which is nice. The kids can not only see the covers, but they can read a little story about it.
And we have also different collections that you can choose from. So if you want something by genre, you can cherry pick your titles if you want. We have standing order plans where our title title specialists pick the titles that come out, and you get so many of them every month, depending on the plan that you pick. So there's a lot of different options for you as well. I will say, I know Lisa wanted us to talk about grants. We don't have control over the grants, but we have worked with a lot of librarians who have applied for grants. We've given them information to go towards their grants so the funding can be covered. We'll send you out. We do have a list that we can send you for you to kind of look at, and you can figure out which grant you think might work best for your school.
And another grant to consider. We're early now. The grant won't open until probably May. That's your Education Foundation grants. Those are a great source of funding. And literacy is one of their target goals. So I would encourage everyone to write one of those grants because they're pretty, they're easy to write, and they're pretty usually a yes. They are literally only giving money to teachers in Palm Beach County.
That's nice. A little exclusive grant just for you guys. That's wonderful.
Yeah, we're really lucky. Our Education Foundation is one of the best in the state.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I just dropped it in the chat too, Lisa, because I know we had chatted about this last year too. So it's super easy to, you're right, the grant is super easy to write. And I just dropped in the chat where I was able to find the information and talked about everyone that they awarded grants to, from like, I think it was $1,000 to $5,000. And it's literacy, but they have, I saw some other sub grants there too that you can look at. So I share that just because we're always trying to find ways to give, find funding. I feel like every librarian I speak to is trying to find different ways to, purchase materials for their collections. So I dropped that in the chat. And then, as Susan mentioned, we have the list of all the different grants that we were able to find. So things like Dollar General, they're about the easiest grants. You just have to submit. And then last year I did send out like a sample grant of what it, basically I kind of wrote it up. I looked at the grant to see how it needed to be written up, or the Go Teach grant. And I did write it up for everybody so they wouldn't have to go research. So if anybody needs that, just let Susan know so we can save you some of the legwork, because I know you're all so busy and being pulled in different directions nowadays.
Absolutely. More than ever this year. They're being pulled in a million different directions. So
yeah,
the easier we can make this, the better.
Yeah, I was talking to Carrie Friday, who's at Southwest. She's up in Brevard, I think.
Brevard.
But yeah, I was talking to her and she was telling me how she's been pulled in to teach 7 classes in addition to, trying to take care of the library. So I know that it's happening to you all. So anything that Susan and I can do to help make it easier for you, help you curate the collections, get you information, help you with giving you information to write the grants, just let us know.
Yep,
And you should also know that if you order from Thorndike, they have our processing specs, so they will come shelf ready for you. They don't have to come to us at Library Media. It is not an extra step for you. Any other questions we could answer about large print, or how to integrate it, or the why, or the how? If not, I will, when Sabine and Susan send me the email, I will forward out all the information to you, and then you'll have all their contact information that you can always reach out to them with questions that arise. I know it's been a long day for everyone, and yesterday was the Mondayest Monday that ever Mondayed for most of us, myself included. We had no AC and partial electricity at the building at 11 o'clock yesterday. It was super fun. And I know that was everywhere. It was just one of those Mondays, and I know that we are all experiencing that stress. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
And yeah, like Lisa said, please feel free to reach out to us. You can email, call. Lisa will also have a Calendly link for me, so you can schedule a follow-up appointment if you want to go a little bit more in depth, or you want to work on curating a list together, a one-on-one. We can do that as well.
That's great. Coming up on the 21st of February, we have our elementary training for selection and collection development. If large print is going to be one of your goals, you can think about putting it into your collection development plan at that time. If you did not come to our to our January date, please make sure you come to our February date. It is a mandatory training, and your 30/70 funds depend on completing the training as well as submitting your collection development plan this year. As you'll see at the training, there is quite a bit of legislation coming down from Tallahassee that is going to change the way we do things in libraries. So definitely need to keep abreast of that. If you haven't joined Emma yet, please, please, please join Emma. Come join us. We are advocating for you every day. We have our advocacy meetings scheduled with Mike Burke and Ed Tierney on the 30th, and we will be advocating for lots of things. As Emma members, watch for a survey coming to your inboxes to find out what issues are affecting you the most this year. Continue to tag us on social media using hashtag #LoveMyLibraryPBCSD. I am seeing so many more tweets and so many amazing things happening in your media centers every day. And our leadership is taking note. They see it. They see you. They see the difference that you make every day. If you're looking for points, of course, you can register in e-learning. It's about 20 points that you can get. If you've missed a session, of course, you can catch it on video. And upcoming sessions. Next session will be Google Sites, School Messenger, and ADA compliance. There was just a bulletin released about this. Really important session to join us for. And the next one is really exciting. We are finally having News Literacy Project and Checkology as an approved curriculum for our students. You can create accounts for your students and teach news literacy with this wonderful organization. They are going to be coming and joining us on March 8th, and we are going to kick this off through the media centers. And if no one has any other questions, I will stop recording and have a great afternoon.